Wen-do Women's Self-Defense is a program that started in 1972. So we've been active in the Toronto area and around Canada and the world for 40 plus years. And our philosophy comes from a feminist anti-oppression analysis of self-defense. We do teach tons of physical techniques, from hits to kicks to blocks to wrist releases, choke releases, all different sorts of techniques. This time I'm choking her, but I'm on top of her in bed. What's the problem if she does the choke release we did yesterday? What would be the problem with that if you were in your bedroom? The headboard. Most of us have our bed against a wall or a headboard. We can't get up over our heads that way. So instead, Sarah's going to come out from her body. The choke release looks like this. Go ahead. Hut. Good. So it's still shoulders against thumbs. It's the exact same principle of the release we did yesterday, but she's coming towards my face. As her attacker, I'm keeping my face pretty far back. Go ahead. Do a power. Hut. Nice. So the attacker in real life is going to fall. It's useful to keep your nose to the side, and then once they fall, then you have an attacker on top of you but who's not doing anything to you, and you would just find a way to pull them off or push them off. So what we usually recommend is that Sarah would grab me by my hair and yank me off, essentially. Yesterday we heard a story of a woman who was in her 80s who woke up with an attacker on top of her, grabbed, squeezed his testicles, led him out of her house, and he was screaming so hard the neighbors had called 911. That's an amazing success story. Don't forget that that's a vulnerable target that often does present itself in sexual assault situations. So it's just good to sometimes keep that in mind. There are some other success stories having to do with the stuff we're talking about here. There was a woman who is in the situation we're in the bump. She was dating a guy. She, she liked him. She wasn't ready or didn't want to have sex with him, but he was hanging out at her house, and they were kissing and stuff, and that was fine. He got on top of her. She said no. She told him to get off. He didn't listen to her, and he started pinning her arms down, just like we did in the bump. But she had never taken Wen-do. She didn't know the bump, right? She said to herself, though, he's wearing clothes and I'm wearing clothes. So if he's going to rape me, which was his intention at that moment, he's going to have to take a hand off of mine in order to undo his pants, right? And so she didn't do anything. She told him to get off of her. She used her verbal self-defense, but she didn't do anything physical. She just waited, and sure enough, he did take a hand off of her to try to undo his pants, and at that moment that he released one hand and she had her hand free, she went like this. She hit him in the face, she broke his nose, and he got off of her, clutching his nose. No one taught her. She made that up.